And welcome to episode 62 of the Rock and Roll Beer Guy podcast. This episode is brought to you by One Effing Inc. If you go to the website, the number oneeffinginc.com/effingradart, you can pick up your official Rock and Roll Beer Guy t-shirts and support the podcast. In this episode, I talked to Nick DePirro from the band Night Versus. Nick came over to the studio and we hung out to talk about the new album, their transition over into an instrumental band, and a few other topics. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and stick around to the end of the podcast if you want to hear a track from the new record. Thanks for listening. Cheers.
We don't know who we are. We don't know where we are. Each of us woke up one moment. Here we were stuck. We don't know who we are. We don't know where we are. Each of us woke up one moment. Here we were stuck.
Welcome everyone to the Rock and Roll Beer Guy podcast. I'm sitting in my living room with Nick DePirro of Night Versus. DePirro, that's not Italian, is it?
It is Italian.
Cool. So, are both your parents Italian?
No, my dad's actually, I would say about half, a little over half Italian, and my mom's Mexican. So technically, I'm probably more Mexican than Italian, but my last name is Italian.
Nice. So Mexican Italian.
Yeah.
So lots of really good food.
Lots of great food. Yes, my parents are awesome cooks.
Do they both cook?
They do. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. No, it was cool growing up with that, and I try to carry that into my own cooking as well. But
you like cooking?
I do like cooking. Yeah. But they definitely have some great stuff that I got to learn from them still.
How far do you go into the cooking? Do you
I mean, to be honest, I
how
kind of
many spices are in your spice rack right now?
I got some stuff. I mean, I like to kind of experiment with it. I treat it as kind of a creative thing. Sometimes it works out really well, sometimes it doesn't. But I like to do that more than just follow recipes usually. I don't know. It's fun. I like to get to the end of it and see where I ended up and if I can repeat it again.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I started getting fascinated with cooking. I don't know, 8 years ago, because I started doing the beer thing, and when you're with the beer thing, you do a lot of beer dinners where you hang out with the chefs and you see their process, and then you try to pair the beer to whatever food item. I really think this brown ale will go well with the lamb chops. Fuck it. Why don't you throw the brown ale in there while you're cooking the lamb chop? Oh my god, that's amazing.
No, that's cool.
Yeah. Anyway, Night Versus.
Yes.
I first heard of you guys through Henry.
Oh, cool.
Henry I think he posted a video, or he might have just shown it to me at one time when we were hanging out. But I remember looking into it and really enjoying what I heard. I think it was I've Lost My Way Back Down.
Yeah.
Was the song I heard. I saw the video, actually, and I saw the stage presence and all that, and I was just hooked,
Awesome.
So, how did the band start? I know you guys were instrumental for a little bit, and you had a different singer at one point as well.
Yeah, well, kind of. We, basically, Eric, Riley, and I were in a band called The Sound Archives, and when that was when we had another singer. When that ended up not working out, I guess, we stayed kind of as a three-piece and just kept writing music, and we were technically instrumental for a while, but that wasn't the goal necessarily at that point. We were doing that so that we can find a vocalist. So for about, a year and a half, 2 years, we were just writing music, recording, and putting stuff out, playing shows as much as we could, just to kind of get in the face of as many people as we could. And we ended up meeting Doug that way, so that's when he joined the band. And then we actually became Night Versus when he was in it with us.
Nice.
Yeah.
You guys did an EP, then you did 2 albums, and this forthcoming LP3 has gone back to being instrumental.
Right.
Is this something you want to talk about?
Yeah, sure.
So what happened with Doug?
I mean, pretty much, we just got to a point where it kind of just made sense to kind of go this way. It wasn't like you're out of the band or I'm quitting. It was just we all just kind of got comfortable with where we're at, and this kind of just made sense for us. And we all live out here, so we can get more done. We're always writing music also, so I mean it just made sense for us.
Was Doug the only one that didn't live here?
Right, yeah. Doug lives in Jersey.
So that makes more sense. Yeah, I mean, it's hard, dude. Keeping a band together across country, like that's pretty much what happened to December. Like we're all in different states.
Yeah,
it's hard.
No, it's definitely not easy. But you know, we made it work for a while, and you know, we could have kept making it work in that sense. It wasn't so much that; it's just I don't know. It's kind of just where we ended up.
Did you guys audition any other singers, or you just went straight instrumental?
Oh, no, we just went straight instrumental. I don't think there's replacing Doug. I don't think that's like a thing that we ever thought to do. I think at this point in our lives, we just want to do what we think is, I guess, most fun and like most effective for us, like musically. And at this point, adding a fourth person to the group just doesn't really make sense. You know, we're very comfortable with the three of us and what we can accomplish. So at this point, I think that's just where it'll stay. I mean, that being said, like we do plan to have like friends on vocals come in occasionally and maybe do some guest spots or, you know, have songs with people that we think are cool as vocalists as well, but no like actual member joining the band, not like a full record of this singer. Like,
yeah, and I like the whole thing about having friends up, man. It's always fun, you know. I like it when bands do that, like Deftones do it when they play Passenger. They'll bring someone, whoever's on tour with them, or you know, whoever's in the area, they'll just hop on stage for that one part. So it's fun, man. I think that keeps it exciting. People are kind of looking forward to see like what could happen in a different city, you know, something like that.
Yeah. No, it's cool. I think, you know, just creatively speaking, it's fun to hear different interpretations from different vocalists over music. You know, it's like you don't really know what they're going to do, so it's kind of cool to hear it. If when we get the opportunity to start doing that kind of stuff, like I'm stoked to see who we work with and like who, you know, different things like that could produce interesting results, I think.
Yeah. So you played with Let Live for a little bit too, right? I remember seeing you with Let Live.
Yeah, actually every member, including Doug of Night Versus, filled in for Let Live at one point. So there was like at various times, never at the same time. I did fill in for them though for a full tour. We went out with Killswitch and Rise Against, and that was cool. That was actually a lot of fun.
Nice. I think that's where we first met, you and I.
Yes, I think it was at
hanging out backstage.
Yeah, some festival. I forget what it was.
Yeah, me neither. It was kind of one of those where two tours kind of mesh into one thing. And Florida gets a lot of those, and it was fun though because I remember hanging out backstage. I brought a bunch of beer for Adam, and we just ended up drinking a bunch of it with you.
Yeah,
and, smoking weed and shit. I forget who else was with us. I know my roommate was there. Eric was there, but that was a fun day. Going back to the newer stuff that you were talking about, going instrumental.
Yeah.
So what's the concept here with the music? Because I see like Vanta Blonde, you had a song called Vanta Black. So like, is there a theme that's ongoing here that we need to know about?
I mean, not necessarily. I think the only theme that we continue really is Phoenix, which is really, we've had one since the first record. After the EP, so Lift Your Existence, it started there. And it's basically like that song for us we'll probably continue doing, where it's kind of like our, I guess, craziest music or whatever. That's a song we kind of take on as a challenge for ourselves to just really kind of go all out, but keep it as like one flowing movement, I guess. And not that the other songs don't have, you know, moments where we're kind of going all out too, but like that song for each record is usually the longest track. It's the one where we kind of touch base on all the styles we like. And yeah, we try to like incorporate as much into those songs as we can. And they end up being long. Like there's no limit to those in our opinion. We just kind of do what we think is cool with it. And then when we feel like it should end, it ends.
That's cool. You can also, I mean, now you could eventually do a tour where it's just the Phoenix songs.
Yeah, right.
You know, if they're lengthy enough, you got 30 minutes or something. You know, you do even if it's an opening run, you got 30 minutes. Just do all the Phoenix songs.
You could definitely do that.
The album, as I listened to it, I'm sorry, I heard I'm now on the 12th track. I'm missing 2 more songs, but I don't miss vocals. So what is it in the songwriting structure that needs to happen for a band to not need a vocalist? Because I, as a vocalist, always felt that there had to be one. But if you do something right with the guitars and make sure you keep it a certain way, it's not necessary. So what is it to you? Like, how did you write when it came to just writing and not even thinking about vocals once?
I mean, I think with the type of music we like to make, it provides a lot of room for melody. And I think like we basically... we have 3 members, but we have 4 instruments happening. So Eric is playing drums and his drum pad, which with that, he has a lot of control over, different notes he could hit and different like lead melodies as well. So between him and I and the bass, like we can balance a lot of different lead things that I think kind of make up the space where a vocal would typically fill. So with the lack of a vocal, it kind of eliminates the worry of competition in that range as well. So for me, I don't have to think about, if I write this lead, is it going to conflict with a vocal melody, where otherwise I might play a rhythm or more rhythmic thing instead. Now it's more just like, let's try to cover all the ground we can at all times and just have it be as full as possible. And by doing that, I run a lot of pedals as well, which help me fill space. And then Riley on this record on bass, there's a lot of moments where the bass actually takes over a lot of the lead, which we didn't do as much of in the past, or it wasn't as like in your face maybe. And I think on this record, there's a lot of spots where that kind of happens as well. So it's just kind of like newer dynamics we're able to kind of incorporate. And I don't know. I mean, it's just more of a thing where, like we like to fill as much stuff as we can. So I think now not having a vocalist, we have that extra space to just fill. So
yeah, it's interesting because when there is a vocalist involved, that's why they call it the front man. Like the attention goes to the singer most of the time,
right?
And then the band, in an effort for the overall sound of the band, will actually take a back seat to that. But in this case, with not having a front man, you all get a moment to shine, like to the extreme. So I heard it in the album. I mean, there's some crazy drum fills, there's some crazy leads on the guitar, some crazy bass parts. So it's like everyone's moment to shine, and it's kind of perfect, really, to have the 3 instruments with no vocal kind of just shining all at once.
Oh, it's cool. And it's cool it comes across that way. I mean, we had a lot of fun writing these songs, and it's a lot of work also, but it was the end result we're very happy with, and just having, the ability to kind of just not have limitations at all. Not that we didn't really write songs in the past thinking that we had limitations, or like, oh shit, what do we do with this part? It's more just now that that's just not even there. Like, we don't have to think about anything at all, like ever. We just do literally what we think is the coolest thing we can think of, and it works at this point for us. And it's kind of a thing that maybe was always kind of meant to happen. Like, I've been playing with Eric and Riley since I was 15 years old, and I'm 29 now, so half my life has been playing music with them. And nice. At this point, it just really just feels right to do it this way.
Yeah, and I think it's almost as if you've found your own voice as a band, to actually sound individual. Like, I was going to ask you, who were one of your main influences when writing this music? Because a lot of musicians, like I did at least, growing up when I was 14, 15, I was discovering music. I was emulating what I was listening to. So it was like, I sounded like a Metallica thing or a Deftones thing, So this, instead of you guys emulating anything I've ever heard, you have finally found your own sound, I think, with this album.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say, at least speaking for myself, like, I kind of have always listened to a lot of the same stuff, I guess. Like, I guess I'll speak for all this. We listen to a lot of the same, like Tool, Deftones, ISIS, Opeth, like all those kinds of things we all listen to often. We all kind of grew up on listening to, and I think a lot of those influences still stick. We don't really listen to a lot of instrumental bands that are currently doing instrumental music, I guess. Like, we're not listening to, not directly, at least. Like, I do listen to Animals and Leaders. I do like, some of that scene and stuff, and like that will maybe kind of come in as an indirect influence, but it's not something where we listen to these bands and like try to draw from that. It's just, occasionally that stuff will happen, but a lot of the stuff we listen to really, will be like trip hop stuff. Like, we're very into like Thievery Corporation, Massive Attack, Portishead, like that kind of thing. DJ Shadow is an influence on some stuff. So with this record, we try to cross like incorporate as much of all those things into, also the Deftones and Tool influences and Mars Volta, all that kind of stuff. Like, we'll always have those bands just kind of within us, I guess, and then that kind of stuff just happens. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, because we don't really listen to a lot of the current stuff, maybe that's why some of it seems
different.
Because
you're not indirectly getting influenced.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. I mean, when it comes to the instrumental scene, it's funny that there is a scene, but there is.
No, there definitely
is. You know, the animals and the Plinis and the it's Chan instrumental.
Chan, yeah.
You know, stuff like that. But that scene ends up sounding a lot like itself, maybe different versions of itself. You know, like one of them is heavier than the other, a little lighter or a little more, you know, outside of the box, but it's still in that box, where this doesn't sound like anything to me. Like, there's moments of just pure, you know, rage, hardcore rage, and then there's very beautiful melodies, and then it's all over the place. And that's kind of something that I've always been attracted to with, like, my old band December. We never really fit into any one thing. Like, each song was a different song, and I've always appreciated it. That's why I feel that, you know, I've been enjoying this so much, is just that I feel that you guys have that same vibe now, you know.
Awesome.
Well, so if you were to give it a genre, what would you call it?
Man, it's always the hardest thing to categorize yourself. I guess
because whatever it is, it doesn't really exist right now. So just make up a name.
I don't know. Maybe we've always thought of seeing like art rock, which is basically, you know, a creative outlet to where you really there's just pushing creative boundaries as much as possible. I'm not saying like.
I will say, when I think of art rock, I think of Dredge.
Okay, yeah, Dredge is badass. So, I mean, something, I guess, yeah, like a proggy, kind of trippy, can be like dream feeling while also being very intense and aggressive. I think incorporating everything that I don't know how to explain it. It's always so weird to like try to think of that stuff. But
yeah,
I would say something like that. I mean, on a generic, more like, I guess, basic level, like a progressive, instrumental, aggressive rock. I don't know.
Nice. All right. Well, enough of the band. Tell me about you, man. What's a day in the life like? Do you have a day job? You said you recently acquired one. We were talking.
Oh yeah, I do like some overnight stuff. Aside from, you know, like that is kind of just more something that I can use to like guarantee that I'm going to pay whatever bills I need. I also focus a lot on, you know, recording other people. Like, I've had a couple of things writing music for others. Whether it's metal songs or just kind of regular, pretty much anything anyone's looking for in that sense, like I'm down to try to do. And metal is kind of like my main, I guess, like skill. I guess like I got really into writing metal songs. I love it, and I love metal. I grew up on a lot of that stuff, and for me, I have the ability to record and write a lot of this stuff. So I've been writing a lot of that, and some of those songs I've sold, and I'm planning to release my own stuff pretty soon as well. I wrote an EP like last year.
Nice.
And
you programmed the drums and everything?
Yeah, I did all the bass and drums. I wrote the guitar, or recorded the guitars, and then I'm gonna keep that instrumental probably, but I'll have, you know, people, if they're down to do some vocals on that. I'll probably have a few different drummers also reinterpret the songs in their own way, add their own touch to it. But yeah, I mean, I've been sitting on those songs for a little bit, so I want to get those out and just...
Nice.
Yeah. Well, that'll probably happen even before we put this out, to be honest.
Very cool. Well, I know a singer, by the way, if you need one. So, anyway, what motivates you? What keeps you wanting to do this music? Because, I mean, it's not a very... what's the word I'm looking for? Financially stable or... profitable business to be in, doing music. It's all about the passion. So what keeps you wanting to do more and pushing the boundaries with your music? Because it's hard. It gets harder and harder as you get older, you know?
I mean, it's always more... I think it's just from a passion standpoint, like music, there's really nothing else like creating music, in my opinion, especially when you get to the point where you can be consistent and, like, know how to get the sounds you want to get. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm sure everyone walking around always has something in their head, whether it's a melody or just, like, a beat or something like that walking around. Like, I'm fortunate enough, like, myself and, like, our band, you know, we have the ability to put out what we actually have in our head. And for me, like, being in my room and having my recording set up, all that stuff, it's very satisfying, and like it's awesome to be able to just sit and put out an idea. And, you know, sometimes, like, I mean, basically my day to day, I'll wake up, you know, I'll have some coffee or breakfast, whatever, and I'll just sit at my computer, open up Logic, and just sit there and, like, with a blank canvas and just see, like, where it goes that day. So maybe I'll just drop a beat in, like a pre-made loop or something like that, and just start writing guitars to it, and I'll manipulate the loop as I go. or I'll write a guitar just straight to a click track and just have like a, record like improvising for a few minutes, and then pick a section out of that I like, write some drums to it, and then keep going from there. And I like to build things just kind of like on the fly like that. And for me, like writing guitars, I really like to write the drums. So it's kind of cool either writing on my own stuff like that with the program drums, or, specifically with Eric, because a lot of the stuff we write in our band, like Eric will start with a drum beat, and maybe it's like a verse to chorus idea he has, or just like a random just one beat that he doesn't know where he wants to take it yet, but I can write guitars to it. And hearing the different accents of, like cymbal hits, maybe he's repeating something and like the cymbal hits in like a weird spot every time, I'll hear that and then I'll match that specifically. And then like there's a lot of different ways to kind of, I guess, do that. And kind of always having like things like that to interpret keeps like motivation and inspiration, I think, going for writing music.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and you guys definitely live in a time where, you've found some success posting these videos. You guys keep putting out videos of you guys jamming in the studio, videos of like Eric doing some crazy shit on the drums, like flipping around and playing upside down and stuff. Like those videos have gone viral because I've just opening up my Facebook, I'll see them there. People just posting them. I'm like, oh shit, look at that. And then it's not just you guys. It's not just coming from Night Versus. It's friends from Florida that I know and people from Seattle that are just posting your videos. I'm like, look at that.
That's awesome.
It's going around. So we're living in a time where you can find success by just recording your own shit at home, get the equipment necessary, and you post it online. And people will if it's good, people are going to go to it.
Definitely.
It'll spread like wildfire.
Yeah, no, we've definitely reached a time where I think the quality, it matters, but I think it matters a lot less than the actual quality of the material you're doing. So if like, your music or your product is really good and people like it, I don't think the actual it doesn't have to be the most HD possible video ever. It's just more, it's good to just get things out. Mm-hmm. And I think, we're trying to take advantage of that. I think we have the ability to do a lot of that ourselves. And so that's why you've been seeing more things from us in that way. And
yeah,
I mean, there'll be more. We plan to have a lot more for this record specifically.
That's awesome, man. I mean, it's super crucial. I think that it's actually a motivational message to a lot of people that are maybe in that situation. Like, hey, I want to do music, but I don't know what to do, or I don't know how to do it. Well, here, look, take an example. Like, you could buy the right gear, just get it done at home. If you got the talent, put it out there.
Well, and it's so day to day that I think people at this point expect to see things all the time, and I don't think there's an expectation of every single thing needs to be the best thing they've ever heard in their life. I think just having something to look at as they just mindlessly scroll through Instagram or Facebook or whatever, yep. Some things stick, some things they don't, but the fact that you're constantly putting things out, I think, helps at least give the opportunity for somebody to latch onto something. Like, you never know when things are going to take off. I mean, sometimes you kind of might have a sense of oh, this might be better than something else, but generally, the most random thing could just take off. I mean, I've posted my own random videos on Instagram, and it surprises me sometimes when some of them just do really well. When it's a riff, maybe I was sitting in my room I don't know much about this, I don't know, and then I'm just like, fuck it, who cares? Tomorrow no one's going to be thinking about this that I did today, it's just just put stuff out as much as you can. And I think it's pretty acceptable. I mean, I see a lot of crap also because of that, because everyone has the opportunity to do something. There's also a lot of bad things, and I think people should put effort into what they're doing, but I don't think you should be so over analytical of yourself that you don't put things out. I think just see what happens,
Sure. Yeah, don't be afraid to put stuff out, but just, don't show it to a couple friends first, and if they give you a weird grimace face, don't put it out there. But it is crazy how you're mentioning that we are living in that type of culture. We need this constant stream of entertainment, and it's we need to have instant movies at home. We need to have all that shit available on my phone too, just in case I need to go on a drive. I can still watch my football game in the background. You know what I mean? It's insane the time we're living in. So to keep up with that is something super important for bands that are playing local shows, stuck at home, and they're not truly pushing themselves out in social media and in the internet world where everybody else is hanging out. That's how you get your music across now, because no one's going to a record store to buy records anymore, unless it's a hipster trying to upgrade his vinyl collection like myself, or nobody's really going to shows that much. Like, it has to be a giant show for people to be there, you know?
It's definitely a different thing now. And I think, you know, we're kind of fortunate because we're a little bit older. We've seen kind of like the transition of that.
Yeah.
And, you know, I used to go to shows and like wait at the end of a show and pass out CDs. Like, that was like the thing to do. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's really
happening much.
Yeah, it doesn't really happen as much. And I'm stoked when people do that. Like, when we're on tour and somebody hands me a CD, I'll 100% always listen to it. Nice. So, like, no matter what.
I like how we've come full circle. It was like, a time where it was like, nope. Now it's like, yep.
I love that. Like, every time anyone has CDs, like, if they want to just like find me, give me that, or drop it at Merritt, like, I'm super down to check out. Even if it's bad or good, I don't care. Like, it'll get played in our band at some point. But, yeah, I don't know. So, like, I get that side of it, and I get now that it doesn't really need to be something where, you know, bands don't need to be touring every single day of the year anymore. I think it needs to happen because, like, obviously you want to see these people live and you want to have that experience. It's a separate, like, a band live to me there's no comparison to watching a video versus a live performance. Like, it's an experience for sure. And I think that still has a lot of value, but I think that there is, you know, a huge world of just obviously the internet, you know, it's so massive and there's so many things you could do with that alone that can either generate income or generate a bigger fan base, or, you know, it creates a way for you to just have more consistency, because it's expensive to tour too. Like,
yeah,
going on the road costs money, you know, you're spending money to make money, you know, gas, van maintenance, like just general living conditions. Like, you're putting a lot out there, sacrificing a lot of stuff just to tour. So the idea that you could potentially limit that and have it be more valuable when you actually do it, because it's more of an experience and it's not such a thing that, like, oh, well, you know, I didn't get to see him this month, but I'll catch him next month. Like, maybe now it's like, okay, well, they only tour twice a year, so I'm going to make sure I see them when they tour.
Sure.
And in the meantime, in between those moments, you know, you have all the other video shit that, like, tide you over or whatever it is. And I think from the band perspective, it's very helpful to have that kind of happening right now. And that's not to say we're not trying to tour, but having the opportunity to kind of, like, gauge, you know, when it makes most sense to go on the road, or, like, all that kind of stuff. And I think right now, obviously, you know, we have a tour coming up in July to, like, you know, when you have a new record out, like, it's good to, you know, promote that and be on the road. Yeah. And we're excited to play some new stuff too. So we will be on the road in July with Strawberry Girls and Andres, and we're excited for that. So, I mean, there's nothing like playing shows either. Like, to be honest, like, I do enjoy touring a lot, and if I were to do it all the time, like, it sucks being away from home, no doubt, but I do like playing shows a lot as well. Like,
it's a fun atmosphere,
just a different, man. It's just two different things, but it's good to do both and, like, be very aware of, like, doing both and making sure that you're not just blind or mindlessly sacrificing yourself on tour all the time just because you think you're supposed to tour all the time.
Sure, yeah. So you're doing it the smart way is what you're saying.
I'm trying to, yeah.
You're playing shows when it makes sense to play shows, because you still got to be responsible and not ruin your life in the process, you know? Because, I mean, we ended up doing stuff like that. I mean, our first tour, I ended up selling my car for a van, and the van blew up on our third date.
Oh, shit.
Third day of tour. Boom. We left it on the side of the road in Virginia. It's just there. Right. I took the license plate and I just left it. And we ended up we were on tour with another band. We took their car back to Florida to pick up our guitar player's dad's pickup truck, and then continue tour towing around our trailer full of gear in a pickup truck. It was 5 dudes.
Wow.
It was a rather uncomfortable tour.
Yeah, that sounds pretty brutal.
But then in the process, I lost my car. Like, I lost everything financially there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
It's nuts. And I didn't even care. I just wanted to get to the next show and get to Texas. And we get to Texas, and we got screwed over on our booking. So the venue was a pile of rubble when we got there, and there was no venue to play at. So we had to figure it out. And what's cool is we ended up jumping on a fucking show with Scale the Summit.
Nice.
So it was like a random, like, off date. And I was like, all right.
Yeah, I mean, shit like that definitely happens. You know, that's actually how we met Silver Snakes. Is we did it. We were on tour with Let Live, and our van broke down, as they do. And fortunately, it broke down in Utah, which is where we have a lot of friends and stuff out there. So it wasn't like the worst place to break down. But there was also a show happening with Junius and Silver Snakes that we were able to hop on. So, like, it kind of worked out because, you know, like, you're super bummed, like, you're missing your tour dates, and, you know, you're missing out on, like, also money, like the guarantee and stuff like that, and you're just like, shit, I'm spending money on this van. But because we did that, you know, we met some cool dudes, some really good bands, and now we're friends with them, and like we did, you know, future tours with them as well.
Yeah.
So kind of things just kind of work out sometimes like that on tour.
That's
And
awesome.
that's kind of one of the things that, you know, is the cool part of it too. Like you meet people and you get to do some cool experiences or have cool experiences.
For sure. I mean, it's a fine line. I mean, again, it financially ruined me, but
Yeah, well that
but I had a
that's
blast,
definitely
you
not
know. I had a fucking blast though the
Yeah.
entire time, and to this day I'm super grateful because I have things to talk about on the podcast. Just like I'll just think of that one night on the road in North Carolina, or
Yeah.
that one night in fucking Arkansas. It's like there's just a fucking flood of all these stupid things that I did that are just you know, not responsible financially, but somehow we made it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm not homeless anymore.
That's good.
That's good. That's good. So I think the lesson is the times have changed, and bands need to adapt to what's going on. You don't really need to tour all the time. You do saturate the market with your presence.
Definitely.
You know, it happened to me. I'd love Every Time I Die. Those are my homies. I'll go to every show I can. But recently, like they were playing the Slide Bar or something, and I just thought about it was a secret show. I had to line up. I had to go all the way 45 minutes north. Like, I know you're going to be back in 2 months. Like, I know for a fact that you're here in 2 months. So I'll just get you next time.
Like I get that, and I think like that is kind of also what I was saying. But then there's rare bands like that where they can tour all year,
It doesn't
and
matter,
they will draw.
It'll be sold out.
Like they're just so sick that everybody's just going to go
Yeah.
watch them no matter what.
I'm just a cranky old man now. I'm almost 37.
No,
I
me
just,
too.
But yeah, they're always sold out shows. Like they're wherever they go. It was a last minute show at the Slide Bar, and it was sold out. So I get it, you know.
Yeah.
And they're fucking awesome. They're great guys. And the music's amazing. It's always a fun time. So, but the point again, I can skip a show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you saturate the market, and you're not Every Time I Die, you're just another band that I've never seen, or maybe I saw you once. It's going to be harder to get me to come out the second time, you know, in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, look at, for example, Tool. Like, they tour once every couple of years, you know, like, and release music. And, like, it's such a fucking big deal that you want to go watch them because you're like, well, I don't know if I'll see them again for however long. So there's, like, a novelty to that. I mean, obviously, they're also massive. That,
Yeah,
like,
it's also Tool,
Yeah,
so they can do
but-
that. I don't think...
not every band can do that, that's
Yeah.
for sure. But, I mean, like, the model is there in place if, like, you can get to a point of, you know, doing, like, operating that way.
Sure.
And I think bands like Every Time I Die, I'm sure there's others that I'm not going to be able to think of right now, but, like, they can do that hustle and that grind. And, like, they probably do really well doing that. And, you know, it makes sense for a band like them. Like, it might not make sense for them to be sitting at home making videos all day. Like, they don't need to do that because they have, you know, like, the fan base already, and they have
sure.
like, and they're a band you want to see live too. Like, I don't want to see the dude sitting on a chair playing guitar. I want to see him fucking jumping off stage and like being crazy on, like, you know, feeling the energy of their songs like that. So
Oh, yeah.
it makes sense, I think, for them.
Hell yeah. I mean, that's one of the things I'm like that on stage, and I have thought about doing another band, and being a singer is just not as appealing to me anymore because I'm older and I just don't have... I want to do more, and I know I'm going to kill myself in the process. You know what I mean? Like, halfway through that tour, I'm going to have a heart attack, and tour's done. You know what I mean? Like, some crazy shit. Like, my knee will give out, and I'll break my hip. I don't know. You know, I'm just...
It is kind of funny though now touring, because earlier on when it was more new to me and like everything was a fresh experience, like I would find myself in situations that maybe like, yeah, like I would exert myself a little extra than I should, or I wouldn't stretch before, I wouldn't like eat properly that day to where I go play a show and like, you know, I feel like shit on stage, something like that. Like, you know, I've played shows eating a bag of hot Cheetos and like a Monster before I go on stage, and this is the worst thing. Like, I like things like that. You learn from things like that. So
Yeah.
I mean, like for me now, and I think for a lot of bands probably who've toured a lot,
Yeah.
you kind of like pre-plan yourself a little bit better, and you're a little more organized with how you go about your day, maybe. And like, you know, I think now like I know what to expect exactly from every tour or every show I'm gonna play, in terms of like what to expect out of myself and like what like I'm gonna endure and like all that kind of stuff. I know if I have this long drive the next day, I have to sleep, or I have to like make sure I, you know, energize myself properly and like eat well, so I don't, you know, feel like absolute crap. So like stuff like that, you know, you kind of like can kind of plan ahead and accommodate for now, more as like a, I guess with the experience you have, you kind of like can better plan those things. But no matter what, like you're on the road, generally speaking, you're probably in a van, and with that life, like, it's tiring, man. Like, there's no way around that. Like, on average, I would say I get 4 to 5 hours of sleep on tour every day, and like, you get used to it, but there's nothing like, being home, like, in your own, house and bed and stuff like that. Like, when you're on the road, like, you're working. Like, it's not like, I know people have like a perception of maybe, or some people, to where it's like this, lavish kind of thing, but it's totally, it
is not
it's
lavish.
A grind. And
unless you're a superstar fucking,
even dudes on a bus, man, like, that's still a grind too.
That's a grind.
Like, you got a band sometimes where there's like 10 plus people on one bus, and like, you think like, oh, they're on a bus, but it's like, yeah, but then they're sharing space with all these people. Like, that's not easy to do.
No, and I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the Aerosmiths. Of the world
well, yeah, of course.
That travel the country with 25 different 18-wheeler trucks that carry their living rooms with their own couches and plants. Unless you're in that level,
yeah,
it's not a easy thing, you know what I mean, to be on the road. It's crazy. And I like, though, hearing from you that you're thinking of it better. Like, there's more prep, and I feel that more people are doing that. And I'm answering my own question, but I've been thinking lately how we're getting dumber as a world, as a species. I feel humanity is just getting dumber, and I've honestly started reflecting on that and thinking, I just think everything is more extreme now. The smart people are very smart, and they're not just going around blabbing and making a scene. Where the dumb people have the internet now to blab and make a scene. You know what I mean? And spread their stupidity. I don't think there's more stupidity. I just think there's more of everything.
Yeah.
No,
I see a lot of that because I follow World Star on Instagram.
Well, I'm just like the whole thing with Kanye, dude. I freaked out the other day. I posted about it because I couldn't believe my brain just wasn't funky. Like, I woke up and my girl's like, "Hey, did you see this?" I'm like, "What?" And like, the Kanye with the Trump hat, and then I'm like, what? I don't care about any of this. And then I play the song, the Scoopy-Dee Poop.
Yeah.
And I was immediately like, oh, this is a joke, right? This is a comedy thing. Like, he's a comedian now, right? And I asked my little sister, because she's more in that world of hip-hop, but she's, 19, 20, whatever. I think she just turned 21. But she's more into that world. I was like, what's going on with Kanye? Is this real? And she's like, yeah, he's serious. I'm like, no. There's... Really?
Yeah.
Has Idiocracy hit? Are we at that point where it's got hundreds of thousands of views on YouTube?
But see, that's the thing. Like, that dude, of all people, knows how to get people to talk about him.
Yeah,
like,
there it is.
All the time. Like, no matter what he's doing, no matter how stupid you think it is, you're talking about him. Like,
yeah.
I wouldn't think me and you, like, we would be, like, we're talking about it because it's so crazy, It's
so bananas. But is it... So is it any press is good? Like, good press, is that the thing? Like,
I don't think that applies to everybody. I think because Kanye has also proven himself as an amazing artist, I think that he has the ability to just literally do whatever he wants, and people will just accept it as, oh, it's just Kanye. But it's like, I think he said some crazy shit recently that might be a little too crazy, but...
What, the slavery thing?
Yeah, that was a little... I mean... Like, I'm not super, like, involved in all of it, but I know, like, that one, I was like, all right, well...
It just seems like I'm worried about him. I think he's in the sunken place from Get Out.
He might be, but he might not be too. Like, he might be very aware of every single move he's making, and people might just be eating it up because they don't understand, because it's crazy, and he's willing to just put himself out there in the most random ways and ridiculous ways that, like, no matter what, people will always listen to the next Kanye CD because he's so crazy. They want to see.
Yeah, whatever he comes out with next, it's going to blow up because people need to see. Yeah,
always.
And it's man, it's such a thin line because I kind of condone that behavior. Like, I want people to be weird, otherwise we wouldn't have anything cool. You know what I mean? Most of our cool shit is weird at some point, and then it gets cool. Like the comic books. Like, Marvel is the most popular thing in the world now. But guess what, fuckers? I've been reading those books since I was 9 years old, 10 years old.
Yeah,
and I was not like people didn't like that back then. I was fucking tortured by people for liking that shit.
Like, I guess the best part I would assume for someone like you, like that, is the quality of movies have drastically improved in terms of like the budgets that they have now and like the actors they can get, all that kind of stuff. It's just really good right now. And I think for me, like, I didn't really grow up reading comics. I was always aware of them, but. And like superheroes and stuff like that, but I never really got super into it until probably once the first Iron Man movie came out, like all that kind of stuff started happening. Then I was like, shit, this is sick, and I got really into it. I started looking kind of like the backstories of stuff like that, and I love that Marvel world. But I do think that that is the pro of it all, is like it getting so massive that now these movies are pretty much as crazy as you could imagine them to be, like with the like I would think at least, and especially with the last, like I haven't seen Deadpool yet, but I thought Infinity War was like awesome. Like that was exactly what I wanted out of that movie. But you know, I didn't read the comic, so if there's something I'm missing there,
no, I'm happy with the movie. I read I wanted the comic. I did not get it, but I definitely got what they would call a spiritual successor or whatever. Like the whole concept is there, and a lot of scenes came out straight from the pages, which was way more than I even expected. I really expected them to fucking shit this. I thought it was gonna be garbage, and I went and I was just blown away. So I'm happy. People talk shit about Disney, this giant corporation, or fucking Mickey Mouse is a Nazi, whatever people want to say. Disney's been there for me since I was a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I grew up on fucking Dumbo and all those fucking movies when I was a little fucking child, and they're still kicking ass, so I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
They've been there for me my whole life. So it's I think that was the point I was trying to make. It's just, to me, I condone crazy pushing boundaries, but at the same time, we do need to filter some of the way too crazy, way too stupid, and dangerous behavior. Like, my little sister listens to a bunch of this, I don't know what they call it, but like the Lil rappers, the mumble rappers, but they have Lil in the front of their name.
Yeah.
And a lot of those, I just looked into it because, she was telling me about it, so I'm like, let me look into it. I'd like to understand my sibling. Why not? So, this one dude, I don't even know his name, but he was just tattooed everywhere on his face, and he was talking about just drugs. It wasn't even lyrics, it was just, Molly, Percocet, this one, like back to back to back. And I know we have our Queens of the Stone Age, Feel Good Hit of the Summer is sort of like that, but it's just one song for fun.
Yeah.
Not an entire album, not pushing the agenda of, hey, take all of the drugs. Take them all until you die. Like, those are the lyrics of these songs.
Well, didn't one of those dudes die?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's that culture. That's the message. Take all of the drugs until you die. Like, come on, man. Someone's got to stop that. Like, that's very dangerous behavior.
No, that part, and that's weird because it's like, it makes me think, I wonder what it really was like growing up when I was listening to, like, crazier, or I guess, like, I don't know what kind of music that would even be close to back then, but, like, I'm sure there were times where, like, our parents were like, this is crazy. Like
reggae.
Like,
it was reggae. Like, hey, smoke weed all the time.
Yeah, maybe.
But that's as bad as it got. Like,
no, I think
a little weed isn't bad.
Some of the stuff I hear either makes me feel old and I don't understand, or it just makes me think like, like this youth needs to chill out.
Yeah,
because like this shit is
there's
crazy.
That line of we're turning into our grandparents, like young people, but there's like people are dying.
Yeah,
like,
it's definitely cool, mostly. It seems to be that scene too, where it's people just are really talking about that stuff pretty heavily, and it's just all about getting like fucked up. And I think that can create a bit of a weird gray line for kids where they don't realize what they're doing is actually like really dangerous too.
Yeah, and these drugs are addictive and they change your brain chemistry. Like, you're young and you're developing. I mean, in my mind, I became a human being, a conscious adult in my 30s. Anything before 30, I was an idiot. Just running around doing whatever the fuck. Like, just do every drug I could find. But even at that point, I was still kind of in control of myself. Like, I never put a needle in my arm.
It was also your choice, and maybe your friends around you or people like that. It wasn't like every music artist you're listening to that you're super stoked on, like condoning it.
Yeah,
and like
singing about it. Yeah. Like, hey, do heroin. It's awesome. Half asleep on the mic because the heroin makes you sleepy, I guess. That's something I'm very like. I knew that some of my favorite musicians, like I knew Trent Reznor and Nine Inch Nails and Marilyn Manson, all these people had really bad drug issues. I was aware of it because I would see it on news reports and whatnot, but it wasn't in the song. Mm-hmm. They're not singing.
They weren't glorifying it.
No, it was creating beautiful art. And in that sense, it kind of made me be like, damn, maybe I should try it because they're making some killer music.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a straight message like it is now. Like, it's really scary shit, man. I don't know. I don't know what to do about it. I'm not going to start a petition or anything, but like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I really don't know. I mean, I think it's just going to take some more, unfortunately, tragic things to happen to these artists that are doing it, maybe, or eventually some of them are going to start speeding against it and be like that individual. I don't know. But
I think it unfortunately will be that, because that one dude that died, I think a lot of people stopped. They were like, whoa. Yeah. A lot of the smarter ones were like, okay, all right. Take a step back. But there's still a lot that are still there, so it's going to be whoever the next young rising overdose, whatever it may be. No, that sounds like a TV show. The next young rising overdose.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks to say, but like that's the kind of stuff sometimes it just takes to happen to make people realize that something's really bad, I guess. But yeah, I don't know.
It sucks, man. So speaking about drugs, talk to me about beer. You like beer?
I do. You know, it's kind of funny. Like, I haven't been as involved in the beer world as much, but I would say the last kind of, I mean, honestly, I mentioned it earlier, like Bootleggers is probably the last brewery I really was actually paying attention to. Mm-hmm. And, you know, growing up, or not growing up, but like a couple of years ago when they were kind of, I don't know when they started exactly, but there was a time when they were in Fullerton, before they were in downtown Fullerton as like an actual bar you can go to. They were kind of like this sort of underground thing with like, they were in an industrial complex, and it was kind of like if you knew about them, you were like one of the few who actually knew about it kind of thing. Like, it was very word of mouth, I feel, going there. And it was cool because, you know, it was a small community of people. There was like 30, 40 people there max every day, or you know, on the weekends or whatever. And I think like when that, like, I was really involved in that specific spot, and I really liked their beer, and I did follow them in the downtown Fullerton, and now they're kind of just like a spot, you know, it's an option of all their other bars to go to, which I always would prefer to go there. But anyway, like I don't know a lot of the more later brewery stuff. Like this stuff you poured me today is really good.
Yeah,
I like it.
That's the Brewery West Alligator something. They're from San Pedro. They're really, really good at this hazy northeast style juicy IPA thing.
Nice.
Which, you know, you were mentioning you're not really into the scene. Like, that's everyone, that's all that they're talking about. It's like, I want that northeast juice, and the dankier and the hazier the better. And now it's just crossing over into this whole new world where people are throwing like vanilla and graham crackers and pancakes into their IPAs, and it's just a little too much.
Yeah, that's right.
For me.
Like, well, that, yeah. I mean, I like the experimentation potential of the beers. I think there was one, I can't remember what tour it was, but I did a tour where one of the bands on their rider had requested like a local brewery come every night to provide the beer. Like, they didn't want like the traditional like Budweiser kind of stuff.
Sure.
So that was cool because some of that would bleed over into, you know, we got to try it kind of thing. And I like trying different beers and like seeing, you know, where it goes, like how, you know, weird people get. You know, back to Bootleggers real quick, like they have a beer called Black Phoenix, and I think it's like a chili coffee beer. And like, that's not really my favorite, but the fact that even exists and like I can taste the nuances of it is pretty crazy. And like, I don't know, like I've always kind of been more into the hef kind of wheat world of beers, I guess.
Yeah, something lighter, more refreshing.
Right.
Yeah.
More than, or sometimes like IPAs. Like this is an IPA, right?
Yeah, but that's one of those hazy, juicy ones. Right? It's a little sweeter, a little easier. The body is thicker. So it's kind of like a smoothie.
It's good for sure. Like I like easier drinking beers like that. I don't like the thick, like a stout or something like that. It's not really my thing. And yeah, I don't know. I never fully got into, I guess, the beer world in that sense, but I do enjoy, you know, occasional like.
You know beer. What might be a gateway for you would be using it with food. I
haven't tried that, so I've never tried pairing drinks to,
not just pairing, but like cooking with it. So,
cooking with it.
Yeah, like grab some sausages or bratwurst and put it in a beer. But pick a crazy beer. Pick one of those crazy pepper, chocolate, something beers, and throw that with the sausage, and it'll change the complexity of the outs. You know how it tastes. So that would be a good way because you'll pour it in and then you'll take a sip, and you know, like that's how you can get more crazy into those.
No, that's interesting. I can see that.
Yeah. So that's one thing that really fascinated me about craft beer. That's why I got into it in the beginning, was just how you can incorporate it with food, how it could be part of just the whole culinary experience. Like having each meal will be paired with a specific beer that will actually make it taste, because there is science to this. I've taken exams, I have certifications. Like people think I'm full of shit. I tell my friends about this, they're like, what the fuck, shut up, it's beer. I'm like, yeah, but I have paperwork, I've done exams. Like, this is, you know, there's a thing. There's science to your taste buds, and
definitely
a specific beer will change the complexity of a whole meal. Like an IPA with a spicy meal is a completely different experience. You know, you have to be able to appreciate those different flavors, because like my girlfriend, my fiance, she doesn't have a palate where she can tell the difference. Like to her, all beer tastes the same except for sour beer. Sour beer is the only one that she likes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she'll drink sour beer with raspberries or blueberries or whatever. But if I give her an IPA, I'm like, this one tastes like peach and mango. She'll be like, no, it doesn't. It tastes like beer. Take it away.
Yeah, I feel like the sour beers are definitely something you have to be in the mood for. For me, at least. Because, like, I remember last time I had one, I was thinking that's exactly what I wanted, and I got it. And it really was just a little too... It's just too tart sometimes. But
yeah.
I guess if you're... Like, I had been a long time since I had one, so I kind of forgot how tart they really could be. And that one was a little much for me when I just wanted a beer in that moment. I was like, oh, I'll get a sour because I remember liking it last time.
It's not a good feeling to chug a sour when you think, like, you're hot and you're sweating. They're like, here you go.
Yeah.
You chug a sour. It's the worst experience.
Yeah, they're definitely a weird thing. But I do kind of like them sometimes. Like, I think they're almost like a juice, I guess.
They have their place. It's kind of like, what are those things called? The Warhead candies?
Oh, yeah.
Super sour Warhead candies?
Yeah.
They're great. And when you have one, they're amazing. But you can't have it every day or your tongue will blow up. You know, like, it'll just swell and you won't have a taste anymore.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with beer, with sour beer. And specifically for me, because I guess I've ruined my body with Taco Bell and Burger King over the years when I was younger. That now when I drink sour beer, I get gas, like super gassy, like a huge belly, and I just farting, and they don't smell good. The farts are extra bad because of the whatever bacteria the sour beer has. But yeah, I mean, I love how I'm trying to incorporate fart jokes into every episode somehow. Somehow get to the point that I get to fart.
Nice.
So I was gonna say, do you want to have a fancy beer? I have many a fancy beer in the fridge aside from that one. Like something as a taster, not a full glass of.
I'll have a taste of something.
All right, we'll do that after this. Ultimately, the last question I always have is: do you have any other aspirations outside of music? Like, is there anything else that, if for some reason or another something were to happen and you can't play music anymore, what would you do?
Hopefully, that will never happen.
Hopefully, that never happens.
Man, honestly, I don't know. The other worlds I have interest in, I guess, would be... I mean, I love video games and, like, that kind of aspect of... I mean, I have no idea where to even begin with creating a video game, but...
yeah, the programming behind it.
There's random thoughts. I'm sure every gamer has it would be a cool game to make or something like that. And, obviously, I do enjoy cooking. I feel like the chef world and, like, being a chef is insane and probably even harder than being a musician. And, that kind of aspect I'm not so much interested in. Like I would be afraid of doing that. I think that just takes another level of I guess I don't know how to explain it. I guess a drive or ambition for
dedication.
That. Yeah, dedication.
You gotta want to be a sous chef for 12 years before you have your own chef title.
There's one thing to make like music that you hope people like, or you don't. You just make it for yourself, whatever. But when you're cooking for people, like food is there's such an expectation there that I feel like if you're eating someone's food, like a chef, for example, like, or if you get to a point of being like an actual like a known chef, where you're like famous or whatever, like you're gonna go there, eat his food, and you're gonna expect it to be super bomb. And if you're disappointed, like eating something you're not happy to eat, it sucks. Like it's like you feel like you wasted your money, you feel like all that stuff. So like I feel like in that sense, like it's probably a lot of stress to be a like a career chef, but it's probably also fun. Like I'm sure those dudes who have the knowledge and experience to go home and make meals for your family, where maybe that they're more open to your experimentation and like they want to see like you're gonna be better than I would assume the average person. So it's probably a lot of fun to do that and have that skill set. So I would be interested in that, and I think just because like music is such a creative outlet for me, having something creative like being a chef, I guess, or being a video game programmer, or even a photographer, like that kind of stuff, like anything like that, I think would be fun. Everyone takes pictures with their phones, but sometimes like you can really capture some cool shit, and you think like, oh, it'd be fun to like go do that and like go explore a city and just like find out what's there from the eye of like your camera versus just like generically walking around. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's true, man. I've definitely I feel you there. I mean, me and my buddy Jay back in Florida, we used to go out. He went and splurged on a $600 nice camera, the XLR, whatever they call them. I don't even know. DSLR.
Yeah.
I'm making fucking letters up.
I think that was it.
But the fancy camera with the big lens, and we would go out and just take random fucking pictures of whatever, and no purpose whatsoever. We would just go out, take pictures of this, that, the other, and then we started going to clubs, taking pictures of the people, and people started coming up to us like, "Oh, what's this for?" We're like, we have a website. We'll put it up there, and we didn't have a website.
Yeah.
So eventually, we made a website, and then we made business cards, and then the club owners like, "Hey, we'll pay you, and we'll give you an open bar tab for you to take these pictures for the club and post
awesome.
them up." And we was like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, dude.
We're just doing this for fun. What are you talking about? But we took it. So fuck it, let's get paid. You know.
And people always value that. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of photographers I've seen that come on tour and stuff like that, and I feel like that lifestyle is probably pretty cool because,
Yeah.
like, and not to take away anything from them, but like, you probably get so comfortable with your stuff or your camera and all that stuff that it's probably not super hard for you to find those moments to take pictures of. So when you get good at it, you just know, like, I'm gonna go snap these photos, badass pictures of these bands, and I'm gonna chill. Like, that lifestyle is probably pretty tight. I mean, I know they do a lot of editing and stuff like that too, and that's a whole different game. But knowing, like,
lots of hours in front of a laptop looking at pictures.
And I really don't mean to take away, because I think there is a lot of you need to get that good. You need the experience, and you need to be putting yourself out there. And everyone sucks at everything at first, so like getting to that point takes a lot of work. But I think once you get there, like, it's probably pretty awesome to be a professional photographer. Like, to know, like, you have what it takes to just take these pictures and like capture all these moments and stuff like that. That's probably a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. But see, here's the thing. So you're a musician.
Yeah.
I was a musician. I am sort of still, whatever. But we have a different. Our work requires us to do things that other people would consider a fantasy or a dream. You know what I mean? And it's hard to convince people to know that. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun, but it's also a lot of work, and you got to put your time in regardless. Thankfully, I've been able to show my fiance enough of what I've done that she's like, yeah, I know you're working, go. You know, like, hey, I need to go to the Comedy Store tonight. I know how that sounds. You know, anybody else is like, hey, I need to go to the Comedy Store tonight. It's like, well, you're just going to a club to have fun and watch a comedy show. It's like, yeah, I am. However, I'm also networking. I'm also talking to people.
Totally.
I'm doing FaceTime. There's a lot of standing around waiting time, not doing a damn thing, just waiting to for the right moment. Somebody's getting ready, whatever. Yeah. So there is work that goes into what we're doing, especially as a musician. Like, you got to stay out late. You gotta watch the other bands. You gotta support them and talk to them. You gotta, because you don't know who those people are. You know?
That statement is funny, because back in the day, when we were more of a just local band, not touring and stuff like that, we didn't understand the necessity of like actually networking and meeting people, because, you know, we would play and then we'd leave. We'd be like, all right, we're done.
No, yeah, I get that,
like,
but
yeah, you gotta stick around. You gotta meet people. That's the whole point of doing this too. I mean, not the whole point, but that is a very helpful. It's a helpful aspect of doing this stuff, is like meeting people and having the opportunity to work with others and stuff like that. And like you're saying too, on the work aspect, like I was saying, there's days, you know, I'll go on my computer and I start with a blank canvas sometimes, and maybe it takes me 3 hours to get one riff that I like. And to anyone else, if I were to be like, check out this riff, it took me 3 hours, you're going to be like, oh, why? But it's like, look at this, that's like, you have like 20 seconds of something here. But it's like that kind of stuff. Sometimes it just takes the amount of time, like, you need, whatever time it takes is the time you need to get to those points. So it's like, it is a lot of work and it is a lot of time, and sometimes it's faster than that. You know, like, there are times where I'll write a whole song in like an hour and a half and be stoked about it, but sometimes you got to kind of force it out of yourself and like put yourself in a scenario where you have to just focus really hard and just get stuff out. And, you know, I mean, that's kind of how this record was for us a lot too. Like, we really put a lot of time into perfecting, or maybe not perfecting, but like crafting these songs the way we wanted them. And I think like I'm really excited for people to hear this one, because I know what went into this. I know the amount of like changes that were made and all these things to get these songs to the point that they are, because I do all of our demos as well. So recording wise, like, I have so many songs from our band that just exist on my hard drives, and different versions of stuff. And like this record, every single song we demoed out 100%, went into the studio and got exactly our ideas out. And Will Putney, who recorded the CD, he was very helpful in contributing his thoughts to that as well, and kind of like getting exactly what we wanted out of it, and without being too hands-on, but also very like upfront when he thought things needed to be certain ways. And it was awesome because even though you put in so much time and you like so much energy and focus into the songs, and when we're writing them as a 3-piece, like we put all of ourselves into these songs, like try to get every idea we can out, all that stuff. It's nice to sometimes have that outside perspective kind of tell you, especially when it's someone you respect, like have somebody tell you like, okay, maybe try this instead, and you're like, oh shit, why didn't I think of that before? Or I didn't think of that. Like, that's awesome. So that happened a few times with Will, and this record, like, I'm way more, it's weird because I'm happy with everything we've ever done, and working with Ross on our last CD was amazing, and like I learned a lot from him. We all did, and there's a lot of genius to his workflow, and like what he does I don't think anyone else will ever do in the way he does it. Like, he's amazing. And even though that record, like, some people thought was a little weird, I mean, it was weird, it is weird,
but I thought that was intentional,
it was weird without trying to be weird. It's hard to explain, but like he is just like on a different level than everyone else. And like I love everything we've done in the past, and I think though that this is the first record I'm walking away from where it's like that is 100% exactly how I hope these songs would sound. Whereas like every other time's like, okay, that isn't exactly how I pictured it, but it's cool. Like this time is the first time I'm like, fuck yeah, that record is exactly like, the recording is sick, and I can say like I didn't do it. So like I recorded it, like Will mixed it, he tracked everything. It's awesome. I love his recording quality on this, and like all the songs just really came across how we wanted, and I'm really excited about that. And this is the first time I feel like I can confidently be like, yeah, that is done. Like, that is it. And and I really don't mean that to take away from anything else in the past. It's just every other time I feel like there's been little tweaks and little things that happen that maybe 3/4 of us agreed on or something like that, or like whatever. Like it
happens.
And that's how it should be. Like it's a group effort. Everyone is contributing things and stuff like that. But but this time though, I feel like we found the balance that was exactly, we all were stoked on this. And
nice.
Yeah, I'm stoked on that. So
when does the record come out?
June 29th, we will be releasing the CD.
And
so coming up pretty soon.
Equal Visions?
Yes. So we're technically, it's Graphic Nature, but it's with Equal Vision. So it's an imprint on there, and that's Will Putney's label as well.
Nice.
Yeah, so having, everything was very in-house with this, which is also really cool because everyone just wants the best out of it. Like, everyone's involved, so it affects everybody. So, like, everyone just went, all out with this record. And Will, like I said, like, killed it. And I think him being kind of like, I guess he owns it in a sense. Like, he is the label. Like, it's cool that he's also stoked because, it's his product as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so...
Very cool. Well, make sure you guys pick it up. I've already heard the majority of it. I'm going to go back and listen to the other 2 tracks that I'm missing. But I highly recommend picking it up. Support. You guys doing like a thing with vinyl stuff?
Yeah, we'll have
editions?
All the bundles, all that stuff will be released soon. And pre-ordering, all that kind of stuff. Nice. And there'll be ways for everyone to get whatever they're looking to get out of this. We'll have some new things we haven't had before in this stuff as well.
Nice. I picked up the last record in some like red and black vinyl color. Oh yeah. So I mean, are you guys doing that too, like cool color vinyl stuff?
I believe so. Yeah, we'll have some stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of it. Some audiophiles complain that like when there's splatters and stuff, it's not the best quality. It's like I have a $100 turntable. Go fuck yourself, dude. Like, it looks cool and it sounds great. That's all I need.
I really haven't even heard our CD on vinyl. I've never listened to vinyls really much in general, to be honest. Like, I don't have a vinyl player, so for me, like, I hope it's a different experience for people, or it's a better experience if they have that.
If you have a really expensive rig, it's awesome. You can hear the difference.
That's cool.
But you have to have really good speakers and a tube amp and a really good turntable with a fucking belt and all this bullshit. Like, cool. And if one day I ever become famous and rich, I'll maybe do that, but I have a $100 turntable with some speakers I bought at Best Buy. It's fine. It works fine, and it sounds good. I just like the experience of pulling out the actual vinyl, putting it down, looking at the pretty colors, looking at the cool artwork on the giant thing, reading the lyrics. It's an experience. It's like reading a book, but with your ears. If that makes any sense.
No, that's awesome, man. I mean, that kind of stuff matters, you know, like as much as we put into music, like we put just as much into art and the design of CDs and like all that kind of stuff. And I mean, we don't have lyrics, but we have like,
you should just release lyrics. And people be like, wait, what?
Just like a blank
page. Just a blank page and maybe some like dots. I don't know.
I'll just put tabs. That'll be our lyrics now.
Maybe, yes, notes. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
But yeah, I mean, that part of it matters a lot to bands. And it sucks because I think the fact that Spotify, I mean, don't get me wrong, I use Spotify daily. I think it's amazing. But Spotify and things like that existing, like I don't look at the CD art anymore. Like I'll just download, or I'll just stream the CD. Like I'll find it, be like, yeah, that's the one. But like I'm not sitting there like delving into a CD like you're saying, like opening a record, even on a CD standpoint, like opening the CD and like having the the lyric book, all the different art and stuff like that.
Yeah, just
maybe there's like some
physical,
secret shit.
Yeah,
like when you pull out, like how Radiohead did something where you pull out the back of the paper or something, you flip it over. There's like a whole different thing that no one even knew about till 10 years later. Like stuff like that, like you can hide in the art, and that's just a whole different. It's incorporated, but it's like a different aspect to it too. And I think like that gets a little lost sometimes with the digital situation we're all in right now. So I'm glad people, like you, would still exist buying vinyl and buying CDs. Like that still, I think, should always be part of the music as well.
Yeah, man.
Because there's a visual component that goes with it. Like the bands picture things in their heads. I mean, look at Tool again. Like Adam Jones designs a lot of their shit, like the visuals of their music videos and things like that.
Yeah,
him
and Alex Gray do a lot of work.
Right.
Yeah.
And you associate that with the band. Like I think of Alex Gray's art when I think of Tool. Like I think of that stuff, and I see his art, and it makes me think of Tool. Like all it matters. Like it creates an atmosphere around the music at times too. That
lyrically it matches with what's going on too, like the whole spirituality
Definitely.
and existentialism. And yeah, dude. I mean, one band that I want to give props to for kind of dealing with this environment is Nine Inch Nails. They've been doing little EPs. And they'll release the EP. You can buy the vinyl if you want, but if you don't want, you can get the MP3s, and they'll send you physical components, is what they're calling it. Like I ordered one, and it was a book with some stickers and like some lyrics and some just content. They'll just send you shit, and you can still listen to your music digitally, but you'll have something to associate with it.
Yeah, that's rad.
So that's a cool idea that I think more bands should do too. Like offer that up, and it's less costly than printing vinyl, for certain bands. Some bands can't do it. Like if you're an independent band, pressing your vinyl is expensive.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Nine Inch Nails has always been pretty cool with that stuff. Though I remember even a long time ago hearing about one little thing he was doing where he was dropping like USB flash drives. In
that was the whole Year Zero thing that he did. It was like a AR
sick,
game or something. People were running around town, and it led to a concert. They did an underground concert for whoever found all the clues or some shit. I was like, man. That's genius.
Yeah, like that must be so fucking fun to sit back for him and just be like, I'm putting this shit out and let's just see what happens. Like that's probably that's so cool. And for fans, like if you're really into that shit, like you're gonna find it, you're gonna look for it. Like that's a really cool like additional component to the music and stuff like that.
For sure. Well, cool, man. Thanks for coming over and talking about the new record. Again, make sure you guys pick it up June 26th?
29th.
29th.
Yeah.
So June 29th, pick up the record.
June.
And, give them a little shout out on the internet. When you buy it, post it up. And share it. That's what we've been talking about this whole time. The environment that we live in. Share shit. If you enjoy your friend's stuff, tell your friends about it. Help out. Come on. All right. Cheers, guys.
Thank you.